Hard Rock.
Cut Florida right off at the knee, I guess, testicle, at the taint.
Hard Rock.
Did we get a category 6 in here?
Hard Rock.
You realize all of a sudden you're Bugs Bunny in one of those stews from the cartoons.
Hard Rock.
If you ever needed a garage sale, like it's here.
Hard Rock.
Like a 3-hour tour, like I could have been Gilligan.
Hard Rock.
Listen, I guess it's better that she's playing too much Frisbee than doing too much drugs.
Hard Rock.
She's yours? All right. I like boys anyway. Like, please don't use that for the bumper.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
Greetings and salutations, members of the Hard Rock Lunchbox and viewers of the Top 20. Today is September 14th. Honestly, I can't believe we made it this far either. How is everybody doing today thusly? Everybody doing all right out there?
It's always a no.
Don't be such a Jimmy Downer. Oh, man. How is everybody? I feel like it's been a good week in the sense that the weather feels at least like it's stopped trying to kill me personally. And I don't like talking about the weather because I feel very loserish. But when you have such extreme stuff kind of going on, it's I feel like it's probably a good time to talk about the weather. It's it's not just like, oh, it rained a little bit. Like, we have serious stuff happening. I don't know if anybody's been following what's been going on in the Atlantic, and if you're not a weather nerd, I don't know why you would. But it's this whole thing with the hurricane season so far. Hold on. See, I left the sound on for the chat, so every time somebody says something, it goes. So I'm gonna turn that off. Not that it's so bothering me, but it's just funny. It makes me laugh. And I want the chat to speak freely because I always appreciate the chat.
It's always a no.
Anyway, so I don't know if anybody knows what's going on in the Atlantic Basin. However, this whole thing with Hurricane Lee that was really kind of special and had a lot of meteorologists like, whoa, was the fact that it went from basically a tropical depression to a Category 5 hurricane in about 5 minutes, which is really not okay. Like, those are things that are supposed to develop over time. Like, these things come in over from Africa, and I don't know if you've ever gotten anything from Africa. I mean, like, not in the past 200 years. I mean, like, slavery humor, right? Am I right? But it takes a little while, but it hit like kind of just east of like the Caribbean. It was like, it's warm here. I like warm. And then ramped up to a Category 5. Now, it's good because it just sort of spun up and went up the Atlantic kind of basin there, like, and is not going to affect us directly or any of the East Coast. But like, you know what a Category 5 would do to Puerto Rico? I mean, you saw what Maria did to Puerto Rico. You remember when President Trump went down there and was tossing paper towels into the crowd because that solved that? Remember that great leadership? Like, that was not a Category 5. Category 5 might actually be something that I can put my money behind to wipe Florida off the face of the map, which I would be completely fine with. Like, seriously, can we get a Category 6 in here? Like, I've got a couple of bucks. Who wants to chip in a couple of bucks? Get a Category 6. But, like, and people still, don't believe in climate change. It was funny. I was talking for the past couple weeks. I've been talking about this podcast. I was listening to Theo Von's podcast. I don't even remember what it's called. But Theo Von he's a comedian. He has this podcast. He's talking to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I said, with the exception of maybe the Pluto incident, is probably one of the smartest people on Earth. But they're talking about the climate change issue, and Neil is like, you remember like 10 years ago when there was like 3 scientific holdouts? Like, oh, maybe not. Like, there are no credible scientific holdouts left. about climate change. And Theo, in his perfect Louisiana accent, he's like, man, not even one holdout? Like, no, there's not even a single holdout. And yet there is so many dumb people in our country that are like, no, it's not real, it's, God or whatever. Like, and my argument has always been, like, I don't really give a shit what's causing it. Like, it's changing. Like, just because, like, even if you believe, like, climate change is not something that man, and I mean, like, humankind, I probably should just change that humans are causing, even if you don't believe that it's something that humans are causing, it's still worth fixing. Like, it's still worth addressing. Like, as much as I want a good-sized hurricane to really just cut Florida right off at the knee, I guess, testicle, at the taint, I don't know. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, I think it's a great thing, and honestly, that would open the door for getting Washington, D.C. some statehood, or Puerto Rico some statehood, because we don't really need Florida. All it's really doing is causing more problems than it's worth. And all the cruise ships aren't even based there anyway. They're all international things, so they can do international waters, but you don't need to know about any of that. My point is, like, even if you don't believe that humans are causing this, it's still worth fixing. But the simple fact is, like, humans are having a very violent effect on the climate, and we can show that. It could be both things. It could be cyclical for the Earth, but we're definitely having an effect on it, because we know for a fact that the fossil fuels that we inject into the atmosphere raise our temperature. We know that for a fact. We also know that causes the water to be warmer. We were talking a couple weeks ago about how the waters outside of Key West were over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, I don't even know if that's relaxing. Like, I will tell you, like, whatever, I guess it was last week, like, the super, like, ridiculously hot, humid week here. If it was last week or the week before, whatever week it was, I know there were a couple times where I would, like, go out and take, like, a walk in the afternoon just to kind of, like, de-stress and, like, listen to these podcasts that I'm talking about. And then I would come home, and then I would, like, go into my pool, because it's why I have a pool. And honestly, I'm trying to use it more to justify how much it costs to maintain all the time, but also, like, I'm trying to take advantage of the good things I already have in my life, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there was a couple times where I actually went into the pool, and I was like, this is really just too warm for me. Like, it's not relaxing at all. And I feel like we weren't anywhere near 100 degrees. You can imagine what it's like to, like, let's go take a dip, and, we're in Key West, let's go swim a little bit, and you run in there, and there's, like, lobsters and carrots floating up next to you, and you realize all of a sudden you're Bugs Bunny in one of those stews from the cartoons. Like, that's the big deal. So, anyway, that's why I'm talking about weather. I do want to point out that my least favorite congressperson, Lauren Boebert from Colorado, the big dummy who keeps opening her mouth and is now kind of responsible for wanting to start the impeachment proceedings against Biden, which I may or may not talk about in a few minutes, just because it's, like, the most ridiculous and stupid thing, like, I've ever seen, like, in any government, like, just bananas. But she got thrown out of a movie theater because she was vaping and talking during a movie, and then when they asked her to be quiet and eventually leave, she was like, do you know who I am? And they were like, yeah. Now, can you get out of the movie theater if you can't follow the simple rules? Keep in mind, this is somebody that people from Colorado elected to represent them in Congress. As much as I shit on Nassau County for being the people that they are and the sub-geniuses that they are for sending George Santos to Congress, I still respect them a lot more than anybody that sent Boebert to Congress. But that is the person on the floor of the United States House of Representatives that wants to impeach our sitting president. She can't even keep her mouth shut in a movie theater, and not in the good way. Hey, come on, right? Yeah, all right. I hate her. I hate her so much. The only redeeming quality about Lauren Boebert is that she really pisses off Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I'm hoping that in, like, 2 to 4 years when they're both out of Congress, that's going to be a pay-per-view wrestling special. And you know what? I'm not even going to watch that because I don't want to give them any more money at all. Housekeeping. So there's a brand new top 20 out today, albeit very late. I'll tell you why that is in just a second. So it's called The Big Giant FU because why not? And I talked about my inner Magellan, and that was like one of my walks where I found a completely pristine, hidden neighborhood in my area. Like, you know, I'm planning on going back there, but I will say I walked yesterday, no, the day before, and I'm just, you know, I got to tell you, like, so what I'm trying to do, like my plan in my head, right, which is this so much. Like, if you ever needed a garage sale, like, it's here. Like, so the plan, and that's actually one of the reasons anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the plan in my head is to try and walk 5 hours a week, right? An hour a day, 5 days, or, you know, less than that for 6 days. The reason I want to do that is multifold. One, I got to lose some weight, and nothing else is really working, and I've sort of tied some of the advanced working out that I'm doing with muscle inflammation and joint inflammation, which is causing injury and causing other inflammation, which is causing me to gain and hold weight. That's a working theory. I don't know that for sure. I don't know that's what's happening, but I've done a lot of reading, and I know my body pretty well, and I know that those things kind of happen, so I'm trying to temper it, which is why I had gone with just straight cardio for a while. But the cardio is becoming a problem because it involves going to the gym, and I think I was saying either last week or a couple weeks ago about like how difficult it is to just sort of get out and go do those things, whereas with walking, it really just I have to have the thought, and I go. I have had actually kind of a nice caveat to that. My daughter and I, Charlotte, we have kind of worked out a plan because she's kind of been wanting to like work on her soccer skills and stuff like that. And the reality of it is, oh, hold on. Let me stop that. Let me finish the walking thing. So I want to walk to help lose weight because honestly, using your body the way God intended or evolution intended is a really good thing. And I don't want to lose my mobility. You know, people that kind of like walk slow and they kind of like, you know, move like that. I mean, maybe you don't, but like think about like your parents or you know, like other people that are older. Like I don't want to get there. And a way to not get there is to walk, not on treadmills, not on ellipticals, because those are just even and they don't really help your stabilizers. Like walking on uneven ground, like sidewalks, especially over by me, they really help your balance and your stabilizers. So I'm looking 10 years in the future to kind of try and head that off. Plus, me pulling and I said this on the show, me pulling myself out of the world for 40 minutes plus has been so good for my mental health. I think it's the number one reason my mood has been so good over the past couple of weeks, because it's a respite where people simply cannot find me. And I'm using it to like, and obviously they can find me. It's 2023. And also I don't go that far. like I'm not like on the moon. Like, holy shit, is that DJ up on the moon? Like, dude, call somebody if I'm up on the moon, right? Because that has gone bad, or I'm hanging with Vector. But like, that's cool. Never mind. So it pulls me out, and also I get to listen to like some of these podcasts, almost all of which are funny. Even the smart ones are funny. Like, I'm not listening to the Rachel Maddow podcast currently because it infuriates me about like what's going on in the world and that nobody seems to give a shit but me. So I'm stopping listening to that, which might be why I'm so uninformed about some stuff. But like, I'm trying to stick to science, I'm trying to stick to funny and stuff like that, and I'm finding it really, really valuable. The one thing that's really flipping me out is that as I'm walking more and more and more, like the other day I walked like what felt internally like a 4-hour, like a 3-hour tour, like I could have been Gilligan. And it ended up being like 42 minutes. I mean, yeah, it was like 2.25 miles, which is like nothing to sneeze at, especially when it's like hot outside and stuff like that. But like, I was like, how is that only 42 minutes, man? Like, I literally walked from here to Cleveland, which should have, you know, done something, but it didn't. I just walked around in my neighborhood. The other thing is that in the summer, I'm getting some actual sun, like real sun. Like, I usually get my sun during soccer and soccer practice, but that's usually in the evening or super early in the morning or one day a week. This way I'm actually getting sun, and one of the number one ways to not get sick, especially COVID, is to boost your vitamin D. And I know that sounds like a sex joke. It isn't. So I'm thinking, like, all these things are really, like, why I'm just trying to walk every day and walk so much and all that other stuff. But honestly, the biggest piece, the biggest piece that seems to be working for me right now is the mental, because it's really really good for me, like mentally, just to sort of check out. And it's the first thing I've been able to kind of do that on. Because even when I go to like the gym and stuff, like I'm hyper aware of everybody that's around me and the time. I will say time becomes less important when you're the furthest point on your walk, and it doesn't really matter how much time it's going to take because you've only got the one way to go. And I'm not going to hitchhike because, honestly, anybody as pretty as me is definitely going to get kidnapped. And maybe that'll be its own adventure anyway. So what I was going to say about Charlotte, and this is actually something that like is going to be probably a bonus. Charlotte has been asking me for well over a year to practice soccer with her. Like, we have a field close to our house, and like walking to like a 5-minute walk to the field. Like, it's a 3-minute walk to the park and then another 2 minutes to the field. Like, but we have a full soccer field there, and it's great that it exists, you know. And she has been asking to do this for years, to work on soccer. Now the problem is like, as an athlete goes, she has surpassed me years ago. If you asked her, she would not own it. She would not agree to it. But, like, she is not even twice the athlete I am. She is in the 4 to 5 range of the athlete I am. Like, I could probably keep up with her for, no joke, 30 seconds, and then it'd be, like, kind of over. So we'll go and we'll work on, like, technical stuff, but it's, like, it's not super productive. So now that she's been playing Ultimate Frisbee with her brother, because now she's playing in 2 leagues. By the way, she's 17. She's playing in 2 college-level leagues. It's like, yo, man, settle it down. But, I mean, listen, I guess it's better that she's playing too much Frisbee than doing too much drugs. So, like, I'm going to take the win on that one because it seems kind of important. But anyway, so she wants to work on her Frisbee throws and her accuracy, which she should. She's an athlete. It's time to put those 10,000 hours and those 10,000 reps to use. So this past Monday was actually really nice. I went for my normal walk. I told her I'm going at this time. I was 5 minutes late because I'm me, and why break the mold? And we just grabbed a ball bag and a bunch of Frisbees, and we went down there, and I basically just dropped her off at the goal. You know, and I was like, here you go. And there's like 2 goals set up, so she lined up like 5 soccer balls, kicked them as far as she could, threw like 5 Frisbees, threw them as far as she could, and then she ran out to get them, so she's doing a little jog. And then she like tosses all them back into the goal. So she's practicing distance, and then she's practicing her aim. And the entire time, I'm literally just walking around the full-size soccer field, and I'll do that 6, 7, 8 times. It was slightly unfortunate because apparently at that time is when the old creepy guys come out, and there was this one dude that totally reminded me of the dude from Family Guy that's totally into Chris, and I can't think of his name, but he started walking around the park with his shirt off, and I was like, I cut my walk short, and I just walked to Charlotte, and I just started doing like very small ovals wherever she was, because I don't know. I don't know if he thought that I was also another creepy guy, because I guess if I wasn't her dad, me just circling a 17-year-old girl is like just watching sharks off of Fire Island, you know, like pick off the delicious gay men out there. And but maybe there's a code. Be like, oh, she's yours? All right. I like boys anyway. Like, please don't use that for the bumper. Yes, Mr. Herbert. Thank you, G, coming in clutch, as it were. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to, and there was a reason for telling you that, and something about root beer, and so the show posted late. Here's why: the top 20 posted late, and you guys might want to get in on this. It's up now, but the reason it posted late, is because I am now filming. Actually, I'm going to check this before I am a liar. Video capture. Yes. Settings. Yes. Settings. Video capture. I am now recording in... What is the mode? Video. I am now recording... No. It's supposed to be 4K. It's not. I wonder if I can change that. Well, I can't change it now. So, we all learned a little something new today. I am not filming in 4K. I have a 4K camera, although maybe it is 4K. You know what? I don't even know what 4K is, to be perfectly honest with you. It's just some buzzword I hear. So I will check the settings, but pretend for a second that I was filming in 4K, right? Which apparently I'm not. Pretend for a second I was filming in 4K. So what I did in my editor is I switched all the resolution to 4K. And I didn't even go... I started with going best resolution, because apparently there's like a best... There's a good, better, best. Yeah, this is exactly what's happening in the chat. I'm not even going to bother explaining it. The GIF does it perfectly. Change the settings in the editor to 4K, but there's a good, better, and best setting within the 4K. I don't know what it means. I don't care. I could Google it in probably 3 seconds, but I'm not going to. So, but I went with the better of the best 4K, and then I tried to, like, export it out. And what happened is it started it was looking like it was going to take about 12 hours to export. And, like, ain't no one got time for that, Graham. So I just backed out of that, and I went for the best of the lower quality. And what ended up happening that took about an hour and a half to export out. But what I really wanted to do is I wanted to see how it was going to turn out. Here's how it turned out. I completely forgot all about it. I left my desk, went on to, have our soccer game the next day, and, like, the weekend came, and I just assumed that I had posted it until it wasn't out today. And it's like, that's weird. Look who never posted it because he didn't even wait for it to finish exporting, and that's me. So if you were ever under the assumption that your host had it all together and was super uber responsible, let me be clear and say...
It's always a no.
And while it may not always be a no, it is certainly often a no, but that is not currently a Craving Strange song, nor do I have a Jimmy drop saying it's often a no. But if Jimmy's listening and felt like doing something like that, I would definitely have always a no, and often a no, and almost a no, and any other no you can think of. But in the meantime, I think it's a good time for me to shut up, check in with the chat, give you guys some music. Let's get on with the box.